What is going on, Jeromes? Unfortunately, NFL draft season is here in a big way for the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings currently only have 4 draft picks. They're probably going to get some compensatory pick of love, and they are selecting number 23 overall in the first round. But we got some early draft crushes. Now, draft social media is just so stupid at times, right? Where it's like, player X is never getting here, blah, 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 blah. Sure. You could say that. Absent, I don't know, like 17 gas mask bong videos, maybe Bryce Young isn't getting out of the top 10. Sure, but I don't know, it's kind of dumb to talk in absolutes. And so I got 5 draft crushes early for the Vikings. Now, they're all different positions, and just because I like one player at a position doesn't mean I hate others. So the first one we're going to talk about, quarterback Cameron Smith. So you've seen Smith in a lot of mock drafts, but just because I say that I have a crush on Cameron Smith doesn't mean that I hate Joey Porter Jr. or Gonzalez or Ringo or anyone else, right? So it's just I like Cameron Smith right now. That could change tomorrow. Don't really know. But Smith, 6 foot, $188. Also, this is a very deep cornerback class as well as a very long and physical class, so it's pretty awesome. 88.4 PFF grade in 2021, 2022. Well, this year was a little bit rough, mainly because of penalties. We'll get into that, but this year, 71.3 quarterback rating when thrown at, 6 passes broken up, 1 interception. He is tough. He's got great ball skills. He's aggressive, almost too aggro. Like we said, 10 penalties this year, so certainly could be an issue. But I'd rather have a cornerback who is too much of a habitual line stepper versus someone who's too passive, because you can teach that cornerback to dial it back versus trying to ramp it up. I think it's just easier in that direction. So even though the Vikings, they do have Caleb Evans, they do have Andrew Booth Jr. next year, basically as redshirt freshmen. Because, Evans played a little bit. Of course, left with concussions. Booth, of course, got hurt. So the Vikings cornerback room is going to be young, but I think potentially adding Smith in there could be a big boon for them as well. Next up, number 2, Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC, 6 foot, $175, 59 catches, 875, 8 touchdowns this year, playing with Heisman winner Caleb Williams, who, I mean, could we just say he's going to be number 1 next year? I mean, that's a fait accompli, right? Blitnikoff winner from back in the day. Transferred from Pitt to USC. Best route runner in the drafts. Got top-tier separation. A couple issues. Had some drop issues back at Pitt, as well as it doesn't have the top-shelf speed that you're necessarily looking for, but just in terms of a guy who can get open inside a phone booth, I think that he is fantastic. I think that he would be a very solid wide receiver 2A, 2B with KJ along with Justin friggin' Jefferson going forward. Next up. And also, just because I say I like Jordan Addison doesn't mean that I hate, like, I don't know, like Jackson or anything like that, right? So there's also another good wide receiver class. I mean, I feel like every single draft in the last 10 years has been a good wide receiver class. Anyways, number 3, Bryan Bresee coming in from Clemson. Now, he's really interesting. So he was the number 1 high school recruit in his class, and he makes great splash plays. He can play all along the defensive line. His best position is probably 3 tech. So if you do get a guy like Bresee, do you move back to a 4-3? It's possible, but he can play 5 tech. He can play 4-eye. He can do all this stuff, but he makes splash plays. Super violent, 82 PFF pass rushing grade this year, 24 pressures, 2.5 sacks, and he's a guy that is going to be stout against the run. He's a guy who's going to be a very solid in getting some pressure on the quarterback's ass, which has been a need. I mean, the Vikings, they have a couple nice players on the inside. Well, Diesel Dalvin's a free agent. Harrison Phillips has been a stud, but they just need that difference maker inside, and you see it with all the teams still left. That interior pass rush, being able to stop the run, that is extremely important in today's NFL. Next up, draft crush number 4 for the Vikings. Safety, corner, /DB, /everything, Brian Branch coming out of Alabama. Now, obviously, why NFL teams love Alabama defensive backs is because, well, they're top-tier recruits and they're great players, but also Nick Saban runs one of the more sophisticated and complex defensive back schemes in all college football. In fact, it would be complex for most of the NFL as well. So you know that you get a quality player who's top-tier at their position, also is going to be schematically well-versed and highly football intelligent. That's exactly what Brian Branch is. He's regarded as the quarterback of the defense, 6 foot, $190, 90 tackles, 3 sacks, 7 passes broken up, 2 interceptions. He's a guy that blitzes. He's a guy that can play coverage. He can play man-to-man. He can play zone. He's good in the run support, and he really is a do-it-all joker in the back end of that defense. I think the Vikings could certainly use a guy like Branch. Just line him up wherever. Line him up in the slot. Line him out wide. Line him at free safety, strong safety. Don't really care safety. But some of these guys, like, it's really nebulous right now. I think it's really stupid to say that any of these guys will be like, oh, they definitely won't be on the board, or they definitely will be on the board. So because there's a lot of stuff to go on. I mean, the pro days, combine, et cetera, that are going to affect draft position. But I think Brian Branch is probably going to go top 20. So if the Vikings want him, they may have to move up to go get him. Next up, number 5, or lastly, number 5, let's build a bully. Enough of this undersized, uber athletic offensive lineman. Let's just get an offensive line that can punch people in the mouth in the playoffs. Let's get after, man. So Cyrus Torrence, guard coming out of Florida, 6'5", 345, man gap power, completely going against the grain of what the Vikings have done schematically up front for the last couple of years. Physically dominant, great anchor, 88 PFF grade this season, only 8 pressures, 0 sacks allowed, just an absolute mauler at right guard. Also does have some right tackle experience, also played some left guard as a true freshman back in the day, but I mean, he's a people mover, and he is not moved easily, right? So even though you do lose a little bit in outside zone as well as, getting out on screens, I do not care. I'm so sick and tired of being manhandled up front. Like, I can't stand anymore, so let's build an absolute bully. We got the meats up front. But that's it. And again, just because we listed these 5 doesn't mean that I hate other prospects at other positions. But that's it. 5 early draft crushes for the Vikings. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.